Aloha, my name is Ku'ule Breen, and this is for my persuasive speech for 151 online speech. My persuasive speech topic will be whether or not juveniles should be tried and sentenced as adults are in the court system. So, there are many different views onto whether or not teenagers of violent crime should be tried and sentenced as adults. But one fact remains. Punishment should be based on the severity of the crime and not the perpetrator's age. Most teenagers understand their actions just as adults do. So why should their age be the determination? Youth who commit violent crimes with clear intent are acting in a manner that adults and mature people do. So the punishment should reflect this. Violent and heinous crimes call for a drastic punishment, no matter the age of the criminal. Our laws and the Constitution were made and kept in order for both young and old. Don't you agree that the Constitution applies to everyone? Well, if so, then no specific group should be an exception to these rules, as if they were made because they're made to all people. If a juvenile is old enough to commit a serious crime, then he or she is old enough to face serious consequences. This is not true in all cases, for example, the mentally impaired, but for most part, kids know right from wrong and should be penalized according to the law that everyone must follow. In my own experiences, I have seen many of kids commit crimes. There was one girl who attended my high school who continued to get into fights. There were no serious consequences for her, so it just kept happening. She saw her suspensions probably as a 3-day vacation. If she was sent to the court system and tried as an adult and punished with consequences as an adult, such as jail time or a fine, community service, then that might have stopped her from committing these offenses again, and put a stop to her violence. And when we stop people like this at their youth, then it turns a brighter future for them in their adulthood. Overall, I believe that juveniles who commit crimes and understand their actions should be tried and commended like adults. Most states have passed laws that make it possible to try teenagers as adults. Because of this, crime rates have dropped. According to Justice Department, violent crimes among teens fell 36% between 1994 and 1999. I believe that this is partially due to the adult sentencing that they receive. When kids know that they will be tried as adults, they will think twice about committing a crime, and they will take laws more seriously. Defense attorneys and advocates for the juvenile justice system often use the excuse that the brain of a teenager is not well developed enough to comprehend their actions. Would you believe that? The legal director of the Conservative Criminal Justice Legal Foundation is quoted saying that the notion that teenagers are not capable of understanding what is going on, I find not credible in the case of mentally normal teenagers. Other research claims that during the adolescent phase, there is less brain tissue because their brain is being reconstructed and it can inhibit reckless actions. I also do not think that is a valid excuse for violent behavior. Laws were put into place to protect and serve people in passing laws to try teenagers as adults. There has been a sustained decrease in crime among teenagers. Many conditions play a part in the trials and sentencing of a teenager. The severity of the crime is by far the greatest consideration. If a teenager commits a violent and heinous crime like murder, then it is likely that they will be tried as an adult. Government statistics show that 200,000 juveniles each year are tried as adults. Other considerations that weigh heavily on the outcome are age and arrest history of the perpetrator. If a teenager is found guilty of a violent crime in a state that imposes the death penalty, it is possible then, should his or her crime warrant it, they will be sentenced to death. More and more juveniles are being tried as adults for crimes that warrant adult penalties with all aspects considered. While others may have different views on the topic of teenagers tried as adults, as do many, I believe that teenagers should be tried and sentenced as adults when committing crimes that are violent and malicious. Age should not be a determining factor when a criminal commits a capital offense and did so with intent. Only when a child is so young, I would say under 8 or so, should his or her understanding of the crime be questioned and considered. As the nation cracks down on juvenile offenses, it has enabled many states to try teenagers as adults. I must, however, admit that my opinion on this issue cannot be applied to every case where there are many circumstances to be considered. Sometimes teenagers do not deserve to be punished as adults, but most times they should adhere to the same laws that all citizens are expected to follow. Thank you.